I love the God. It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break cutthroat. Watch them make a better man.
The best intro probably on YouTube, that's certified by me. But welcome back to the Pommy and Fazz show. New background, same rudimentary banter, we'll say. Great hot takes, though. I am joined, as always, for it to be the Pommy and Fazz show. I need the Fazz, and I believe you won a huge award last night to prove that you probably have more spotting acumen now than anyone on AFL Twitter.
Thanks. Good. Yeah, I will confirm that is the best intro on YouTube. But yes, I am back from a big awards night. I'm a little bit dusty. I've got it here with me. It's the bowling award for the GDCA. So had a great season with the ball. Want a better season with the bat, but yeah, great season with the ball. And yeah, I drank all their beers last night and took home an award. So happy days.
So I'm correct in thinking that you are the Patrick Cripps now of bowling in your district.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's actually fact.
There it is. Well, I mean, that is phenomenal. Fazz, congratulations. I'm sure chat will be excited. We've got everyone in. We've got the legend that is Big Ollie Lynch. I met him at the BA event. Good day to you, my friend. Jason Badger, the man who somehow follows everything I do. So thank you very much, Jason. I've seen you in just about every comment section this week. So, mate, you might be my second wife. Do you know what I mean? To be honest. Big Rowan. Well, obviously, let's talk quickly before we go on to Carlton. The doggies. If you watch my tipping, I can prove how the Romany in me makes reality happen, because I spent all week dogging the dogs, saying they need to sack Beveridge, and said that if you wanted to make cheap money, bet on the doggies because they will win, because that is what happens when Pom slates someone. They always prove me wrong. So there it is. It's the easiest money to make in the world. Thank you. It's all right. Everyone said I was mental. I just know how it works. When I slag a team off, they always play well.
Look, I've obviously watched a bit of it. I've got it on over there. Mate, I've seen some of the worst set shots on goal I think I've ever seen. You know, anyone who wants to criticize Harry Mackay, have a look at some of these shots in this game. Absolute garbage. And yes, Brisbane are frauds. I've been saying it for a long time.
I've got to say, watching Eric Hipwood and Norton kick at goal, it makes Harry Mackay, when Carlton fans complain about him kicking from 40 round the corner, it makes him look like that Finnish sniper, Jerry in the Wall, that had like was he, the White Death? Or whatever he's got. Because it has been shocking. But honestly, if you watch my content and you want to make some good money, just wait for me to lay into a team and then stick your mortgage on that team winning that week. I think it's called the Ladham's curse. Those who have followed me a long time, 2019, I always remember this. Terry said, Peter Ladhams is a threat. I said that he's about as good as my nana in the ruck. Levi Casbolt, if he goes in the ruck, will batter him. And my nan's been dead 20 years. And he proceeded to have 25 touches, 52 hit-outs, and kick 4. So
I remember that. I remember that like it was yesterday. Oh my goodness!
so the Port fans as well. I think every so often I get that clip just sent to me in my DMs from Port fans, which is nice of them. But we're here firstly to talk about Carlton, and we've got lots to talk about. It's a positive show today, so let's get straight into our Blue Boy.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me.
Wow. We were trying to get up and about last week. We tried to get up and about. We did say it was going to be a make or break. I leant towards the blue glasses. Fazz was more the realist. Between us, we get it right. To be fair, Fazz said last week, I know Beachy wants Fazz to validate them. Good day to you, Beachy. Happy birthday as well for the other day, mate. Much love to you, my friend. Hope to share a beer with you again sometime this year. We got a lot of answers to the questions, didn't we? Because the boys won a game, which I know it was a cop-out last week. Some people had a go at me for backing Voss, saying it was a 6-goal loss last year to the Tigers. I actually, genuinely, I've watched that fourth quarter again, and it reminded me of, do you remember when Bolton beat them in COVID? Yep. And we clung on, and it was like a really bad win. It was because you were like, oh, Jesus, if this game had full time, they would have won by 80. I watched that game and thought, watching it back, I actually put my Carlton glasses off, and I was like, if this was Collingwood, if this was Adelaide last year, these boys would get run over the top of. So watching it back, I had no nerves. I actually said this was really controlled from the boys. So, Fazz, what did you think, first of all, in chat? What did you think? Takeouts of the game?
Well, my immediate thought was like that I cursed us again. If anyone who watched last week, I said my scenario would be that we'd be 28 points up, and Geelong would go bang, 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 and then we'll see what happens after that. I knew we had the game won when Ollie Hollands missed the goal on the siren, because it put us 23 points up and not 28, which yes, as soon as he took the mark, my old man looked at me, he's like, this is your fault. This is on you if he kicks it. So, no, at the first I thought, yeah, geez, I cursed us again. But look, I'm incredibly proud. I mean, a lot of people came after me, rightfully so, straight as soon as the siren went, for some of my comments about Carlton and being perennial losers and not knowing how to win a game. And great. Like that's, you make a call, you stand by it. It's about playing and watching sport is about taking on challenges. And we've got a new challenge this week coming. Do they do it? I don't know. So am I fully convinced in the football club? Of course not. I'll only be fully convinced when they're holding the cup at the end of September. But it is a bloody good step in the right direction. I don't want to go glass half empty here, but there were moments that fell into our favour. Bose missing a goal from 5 meters out. Tanner Bruin bursting through the pack and kicking it out on the full instead of hitting, I think it was Stengel on the chest. Those two. And again, you can say there's moments for Carlton as well that we should have had, but it's a step in the right direction. But in my opinion, that's all it is. Just a step in the right direction. Let's take care of business against GWS. And it's another step in the right direction.
Fazz handled that like a pro. Greg, welcome back, mate. Hope you're doing well. Love from me and Fazz. I'm sure I said that, mate. You're doing a brave thing. So hopefully we can guide you through. But, I mean, I agree with you, Fazz. I'm going to counter it, though, right? And just say that I actually thought, though, I know the moments you're talking about, Bose, I thought Carlton, for the first time ever, in that fourth particularly, actually made Geelong look average. And then if you go back and watch round one, I think the system, now we know it was a system change and Voss is a genius. Do you know what I mean? Voss is a genius. He's a he's a tactician. He's Jose Mourinho all of a sudden. He's playing structure to beat it. We actually made Richmond look average because I watched Richmond last week and I was like, this is Richmond at their best. 2 quality quarters to put themselves in a winning position. They take a break in the third. The other team gets their hopes up. They smash them hard through the counter, which I remember watching that game and saying to my father-in-law, if that was Carlton and we'd gone out and played the way we normally do, we're Adelaide. We would have, they would have controlled us for the first half. We would have played into their hands, left ourselves too much to do to get back in the game. They tire you out. They kick you over the top. And that's what they did. Second game, it was again, we actually made, I thought we made Collingwood Geelong looked scared. Geelong did feel the pressure, and James has nailed it here. Take Cameron out of that game. I think people are downplaying Carlton, but they're downplaying Carlton for what Carlton were accused of last year. Stop Charlie Curnow kicking 7 goals in a game. Carlton actually lost that game by 20. Cameron's a freak of nature. He's like Charlie Curnow. I think Jeremy Cameron is one of them players that if you're a coach, you're like, he's kicking 6. As long as he only kicks 6 and no one else kicks any goals in that forward line, we win this game because he is a freak of nature. I actually think if they didn't have Cameron's genius, they were cooked. And I agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was the first time I've seen Carlton win an actual game. I don't think you can look back at that game and say we were lucky. I think they controlled that, particularly in the last 3 minutes. Geelong didn't have a prayer.
And to me, it was probably the one of the first 4-quarter performances I can really remember against quality opposition. I will say that there is some massive concerns for Geelong and just little things here and there, and it's about the Jeremy Cameron, the Jeremy Cameron scenario. That is very much a shit team philosophy. And we have all teams know what that's like. Don't worry, Judd will do it. Don't worry, Fev will do it. Don't worry, Cripper will do it. Geelong, their first 2 games have kind of looked like they've fallen into that. We need to win this game. Where's Jeremy Cameron? Where is he? That's not the Geelong we know. And to me, that's a very dangerous sign for them going forward. If that's going to be their, reliance on Jeremy Cameron. Tom Hawkins, he's short of a gallop. I don't know what's up with him. Mini preseason, whatever they want to say, but he's not fit. So maybe they are heavily reliant on Jeremy Cameron.
It's an interesting one, and I'd love the fans' thoughts, and I'd love yours, Fazz, on this. I went back and I'm a proper nerd. I have what's called a game diary. So I literally write my thoughts for my review down, and it's quite good just to have a look at them and be like, okay, cool. That's why sometimes I come out of it and go, why did I think this player was shit? And then I go back through my diary and go, oh, okay. He did that. That stood out. I've looked at round 1 and round 2, and even though round 1 wasn't a great performance in the terms of on the eye, it's the first time, right, since, and I went back through my diaries, that we've had 2 games in a row that I have had 8 players in my 3 votes.
Yes.
Right, 8 players. And I think what we've seen this year, and no one's talking about it, is what Fazz touched on there. It's not kick it to Curnow. It's not kick it to Mackay. There is 8 to 10 players who literally got us over the line. And just 4th quarter, Holland's tracking back. He made a spoil. No one's talked about it on Stengel. The ball came in low and he ran back and he managed to flick it out to Kennedy, which was destined to be a one-on-one goal. The McGovern tackle, the Young mark, the 2 Mackay marks. There was a lot. The Akers, he ran 45 meters to be the outlet ball for the mark in defense when we were under the cosh. There's now a lot of players putting their hands up where before, and I went back and watched the St Kilda game. In the 4th, it's only Curnow and Cripps in that 4th. When the game was on the line, everyone else checked out. This is a positive sign, I think, moving forward. What do you think, Fazz? What do the fans think?
Yeah, huge. You hit the nail absolutely on the head. I thought it in round 1. I thought, geez, it's really hard to pick. And at the time, I'm like, because it was a shit game, it was a draw, whatever. But it was really hard to pick your 3-2-1. And I actually thought this win was even harder. And a lot of people quickly jumped straight, oh, Charlie Curnow, 5 goals, best on ground. I disagree on that. Looking at the Richmond game, you could throw your hat in Young, Wiedering, even though Lynch kicked 3 on him. Hewitt, that's the Richmond game. You could argue Nick Newman with his job. And then, again, like you said, against Geelong, I actually wouldn't, if someone held a gun to my head, I actually wouldn't know who to answer, who gets the 3-2-1 for Carlton. Obviously, Jeremy Cameron was best on ground. But from the Carlton point of view, I actually don't know, because the easy option is to say Charlie Curnow with 5 goals. But shit, Blake Acres was good. Blake Acres and Sard, to me, from the eye, felt like our best players. But yeah, and like I said, that is a great positive step. So when inevitably at some point in a game, shit gets hard, because it will, could be this week, and every game's hard. There's no gimmies in professional sport. We've actually got the players to start standing up, and I mentioned it after the Richmond game, and I'll say it again. Cripps is playing this selfless role. And I said it after the Richmond game when I said, it's like got his Brownlow in his back pocket. Cool. He doesn't need to meet any more individual awards. He's now full-blown team player. I'm one of the harshest Cripps critics. People who know me well, I've been hard on him for a long time. His last 2 weeks has been the most impressed I've been with him almost in his entire career, because he is playing that selfless role that he doesn't have to be Superman. And there will be a time in a game or whatever we might have to say, all right, I've got to do it. But he's just, that role he's playing, it's incredible. And people who maybe not pay too much attention or just use stats, like, oh, he's not doing that good, or what's he doing? You've got to look at it closer and look what he's bringing in and who he's bringing in around him.
Mate, I'm with you. I've seen Cripps cop a lot of hate, and I remember a couple of years ago when he was doing everything, saying, I wish he could become Cochin and not be the 35 ball getter every week. I wish we were in a good team, right, where we could let him be what he needs to be, the leader, the metronome, the guy you can rely on. I think for too long, Carlton, he's had to be superhero Cripps. I think what you're seeing now is, and I've noticed it, there's no more taking 5 players on. He is looking to feed. And I actually think people need to give Cripps a bit of respect that he's starting to gain trust in this midfield. There was a few times last week, and I want to call 3 players out this week. Round 1, you would argue Fisher, Akers, and to an extent I saw, and I was quite shocked about this, Sard copped a little bit of hate in the Richmond game for not taking off, breaking lines. You could argue that them 3 players totally said fuck you to the fans. And a big shout out to Fazz's boy, Ed Kerno. People were saying he was cooked, that's it. And that's what excites me, because how often does a player have a bad game at Carlton Football Club and they back it up with mediocrity? Fisher, Sard, Ed, all them players we've named, even Bam Bam copped some abuse in the Richmond game. Yeah. All of them played like a man possessed. And I thought Blake Acres at the end of the game said he felt he owed the Carlton faithful after week 1. That is something that I could smell about the boys, that they felt like they owed a better performance. And I think, and I don't know what you think, Fazz, in the chat, I actually think, and I agree with Shaun here, Geelong isn't the measuring stick. I actually think it's the next 4 games, because I think where Carlton come unstuck last year is the Adelaide game, the St Kilda game. It's not the games people think, the last 2. It should have been sewn up then. I think Carlton struggle with going into state, particularly as favourites. I think that is the next logical step of putting distance now, saying we're a top 6 side, you guys are the bottom 6. And we're too good. We can play 75%, but our system is too clever for you. And that's what I want to see this week.
Definitely. I agree. I think you said it perfectly. You know, a few of these players almost took round 1 personally, you know, and they said, well, we can do better. We're going to do better. But now, like I said, I'll talk about challenges. Now's the next challenge. All right. Yeah. Pat's on back. Well done. You've beaten Geelong. Awesome. You know, I'm looking at Ollie Hollands. I'm looking at Lockie Cowan, you know, first-year players, and saying, well, you're part of the system now. You got 2 options. Do you put your feet up and say, hey, how good's AFL footy? Or do you knuckle down and actually go again and go again and go again? That's equally as challenging as, you know, coming off a bad game and playing good. Coming off a good game and playing good again is equally as challenging for some of our boys.
Mate, we did it last year, because like I went through the fixtures last year, and you know, one thing I want to talk about, and I've talked about it on the Blue Broad Show today, and this is so passionate to me. This is something that, this is a religious belief for me, and it transcends into sport. But I'm a firm believer of what you put out into the universe, you reap, and you reap it in some shape or form. And I did a little experiment, and when this show finishes, go back, watch the 4th quarter, and I want you to not watch the game. I want you to listen to the crowd. And then I want you to go back and watch the Melbourne and the Collingwood game and the Hawthorn game in the fourth quarter, right? And you see an uncanny difference in our crowd. In the fourth, there is a moment where McGovern gets absolutely wrong-sided. He was sold that much candy. I think he is a registered diabetic, right? But he recovered and made the tackle. He recovered. You saw him bust ass. He hit the guy, got the tackle, got the hold in the ball. The noise from the crowd as he's chasing him is insane. It's up there with go and watch the Dacos goal from Pendlebury. It sounds like the noise the Pies made for that. There is an actual belief, and it was weird because I mentioned it in the watch-along. I actually heard the fans believe they were going to win it, and then go back and watch the Collingwood game when we're under the cosh, fourth quarter. If you listen to the crowd, you'd know that we were going to lose it. There's a moment where Kerner spills a mark, a huge groan. You could hear, oh, fuck, we've lost. And I keep saying this, and this is from my background as a golf pro. When you deal with professionals, the best readers of their husbands or their wives is literally their partners. Their partners feel what the player feels because they see it so much. So if you're shitting yourself in red time, imagine what them players are feeling. But I listen to that noise when Young takes the mark. They wouldn't think they could lose. They'd listen to the fans and be like, fuck, they believe in us. And I think that goes a long way. So it's not a warning. You don't have to buy into POM religion. But I do believe Danger Game, Banana Skin, all this negativity that seems to precede a game we should win. I'm a firm believer that the players feel that as well. And the players shouldn't. Good teams should go against a team like they did in 2018. Guaranteed, every team, when they saw Carlton round 5, 2018, were like 4 points. As long as we play our way, 4 points. No way these guys can come to us. And that's what these boys, and that's not underestimating the opposition. That's believing in who you are, that you are simply better. Man City won't play Oldham Athletic going, oh, fuck. If we don't score in 10 minutes, we lose. They'll go 10 minutes to go. As long as it's 1-0, we can win this 3-1. So that is a big thing. And I think we're starting to believe in them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. The that belief in yourself and in the playing group, and it's a mentality thing. It is hard to switch, both for supporters and blokes who've been at the club, which is why bringing in new players like a Ollie Hollands, like a Lockie Cowan, Blake Acres, bringing in these new players who haven't been, I'll say, Carltonified or whatever, with that mentality that we've all copped it and had it for 20 years. It's a positive thing. It's a positive thing.
Mate, and I agree with you, and I'm a firm believer of collective consciousness, and I know a lot of soccer players in the UK. They are, when they were players, they were absolute fiends of reading socials, reading papers. They were fiends in it, reading feedback. And I'm a firm believer, honestly, in just, that fourth quarter for me. Voss mentioned it as the comments were above, that the crowd makes the difference, what Peter says. Us and Collingwood have an uncanny knack of making a ridiculous noise. I was watching the Pies game against Port, and I was like, fuck, there's a crowd there. Because I watched our game, and I was like, okay, I can hear the Blues. And then I watched the Friday night game, and I was like, it could be at a morgue. Saturday's game, it felt like a morgue. But then the Pies came on, I was like, oh, there is someone at the G, right? There is. I think that has a huge advantage over the opposition. And if you go to Sydney this weekend, we know we're going to drown them out because, let's be honest, Golden's, GWS, they're basically Gillian's pet project. So, I mean, they have no... You know what? Phil Davis once said when they beat us in 2018, we're making history, we don't dine out on old. And that was a pot shot at my fucking boys. You know what? I say, boys, go out there Saturday and let them know what history does. It makes people come into your back garden and make a bit of fucking noise.
Are you suggesting Voss plays that clip before they run out?
Mate, if he played me that clip, I'd be running through Davis and be happy with the 6 weeks.
Yeah, right. I love it. I love it. No, it's good. It's good. And you know what? Long may it continue, and we go again. We go again.
Big Quenton as well. He's the massive provider of a sexy little mic next to your face.
Thanks, mate. I love it. I love it. I hope it sounds good. I don't know. I can't really hear myself, so if it sounds good.
It does. Now, going up to Sydney, what's everyone's thoughts on this game? How are you all feeling? Be honest with me. Are we looking at this stone wall 4 points? Are you squeaky bum time? Talk to me. What are we all feeling?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because if you got to go, you've got to go in confident. You know, if you're not confident, then what's the point? You know, you may as well go in. I think, yeah, what will be. To be honest, I'm all for we'll just play our game. I don't really care if we win by 80 or if we win by 18, whatever it is. I just want to see a system in place. I just want to see what I would love. I would love it to be comfortable from the first 5 minutes to the last 5 minutes. And whether that's keep kind of similar to the Geelong game, get a few goals up, keep them at arm's length, and do it professionally. Just do it professionally. That's all I want to see. You know, if you start winning by 80s, which would be great and all that, you know, there's a showboating stuff. You know, what is the garbage Harlem Globetrotter reference that Collingwood came out with? Gee whiz, that's going to come back and bite them in the ass, you absolute pack of fuckwits. We don't showboat. There's no showboating. Professional, get it done, get off. That's all I want to say.
I'm with you.
I don't care what the result is.
Mate, I'm with you. Fred, I work in power of 10, so I would say Carlton's corruption, brown paper bags. There were 6 other sides as well incriminated in that. We were just the ones who fell. But I would say Carlton's debt was paid, in my spiritual understanding, when we drafted Blake Burkhurst in the first round. If that wasn't the karma debt paid, fuck me, you'll never pay it back. I'm telling you. I'm with you. I see a lot of people here 4 goals, convincing. I agree. I agree with Fazz. What I want to see, and I said this in my preview, I don't really care about the score. I would take 12 points, but I want to see a 12-point, one of them games where they're never really troubled. Where you look at it and you think, okay, the boys just stayed in 4th gear. They kept them at arm's length. A boring Richmond win where Richmond kind of used to do that mid-season thing where they looked a little bit fluttery, but you could see that they were always playing within themselves. A Roger Federer round 2 at Melbourne Park type game where he's never broken a sweat. He's won 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, but it looks close. But in reality, if Federer went up 2 gears, he would have won by 8. He would have won 6-love, 6-love, 6-love. Yeah,
and I think that's the point. And with what Shaun's saying, just great attitude, should always about putting to the sword. There's putting to the sword and there's the showboating side of it. Do you know what I mean? I think players, especially some of our players, I'll use the Crips as an example. Where we spoke about, I'd much rather him play his role now than get his 34 and kick 4 that he's been doing because it doesn't bring everyone else into the game. Players don't get much out of changing the way they play just to absolutely bury a team. If we play our system to the way Voss wants it to be played, it should be comfortable and it should be a 5-6 goal win, comfortable. All right. If we're getting up to the 70s and 80-point wins, it kind of means they might have changed something, they might have tweaked something, gone a bit faster. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'd love to see it, don't get me wrong, but they get more out of round 3. You're going to get more out of let's get this system right. And it might frustrate us. But there'll be times on Saturday where we go slow, we mark, we share the ball around because that's our game plan now. Just because it's GWS. Yeah. Just because GWS, don't throw the hat in the ring and say, oh, everyone goes nuts. It's GWS. It's stick to your system.
Mate, I agree with you. And the median average of a win, I'll always say this, the median average of a win in the AFL for the last 20 years has been 28.2 points, right? So what's that? 6, 12, 18, that's 4 and a bit goals. So I always say, I disagree when people say count and don't put teams to the sword, because last year we won a few games by a margin, didn't we? We beat GWS by 36. We beat Eagles by 60 odd. We beat Adelaide the first time. That was 50. We beat GWS by 30 the first game. 50 North Melbourne. Do you know what I mean? Like, the boys have, by definition in modern day sport, put sides away. Sides away. So for me, I think, though, my issue with Carlton is interstate. They never look confident. And people will go, Pom, we've beaten Fremantle. Okay. Kick after the siren and a moment of Mark Murphy genius. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say them games were controlled games. They were moments coming alive. So for me, I think the best sides, and we'll come on to Collingwood and the other clubs in a minute when we do the AFL bit. I think the best sides control games.
Which is what we've been doing the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so for me, I would be a lot happier if you told me, and I remember last season, Carlton, don't you remember we beat Adelaide and North, and then we lost the game after that. And everyone was excited because it was like, shit, 10 goals. Oh, shit. We've won by 10 goals. Oh, we've won by 8 goals the week before. We were all excited. And then we brought in a really abject performance and we lost the game. Where for me, I want to see control, because anyone can beat a side who is shit. Ask anyone who played Carlton in 2018 bar Essendon, right? Good teams, though, can go to plan B. And I know people are talking about percentage.
Yeah, mate.
And it ruins me, because last year I kept saying percentages are relevant. I'll stand by it because I agree with Voss. Percentages are relevant if Carlton won the game they should have won last year. Do you know what I mean? And Richmond had the lowest percentage of any flag winning side of the last 50 years. It was 94.2 or something. Didn't bother them. Do you know what I mean? If you win the games, it doesn't matter. And Richmond, Adelaide is the performance I want. Yeah, okay, we might let them get back in because we're resting, but then we prove we are a class above in the fourth, and we kind of run out and we manage the game. That's what I think we need to learn. If we learn to manage the game, we know we can beat a side by 60. The problem is we don't know if we can beat a shit like St Kilda. St Kilda is the game that cost us the final. The better side, start
100%.
to finish.
Shove your percentage up your ass. It was a St Kilda game that was the one. That was the moment.
Even my wife says we deserved that win. We deserved that win. Like, she says that it was a robbery of Ned Kelly proportions because we couldn't kick straight. But we had zero control. We got ourselves in them positions, and then there was so much pressure because we couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo. Good sides control it.
And the best part now, the last thing about percentage is the best part is that because we've got the draw, we're competing against no one except for Richmond. That people aren't talking about that. Percentage is now completely out the window because our percentage is only compared to Richmond. We can't move up in the ladder down based on percentage. We only move up in the ladder now based on wins and losses until some other team draws. So percentage is completely out the window unless we're fighting against Richmond. So that's a good result, which we're both on 6 points. So that kind of shoot myself in the foot there because they're above us on percentage. But yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll win. It's all good.
Mate, that is my thing. Because do you know what I mean? Like, I understand Michael's point. Obviously, if you're tied, but why did Geelong win so many minor premiers? Why do other sides do it? It's because they win games. So let's put it this way, right? And this is one of them, if my nan had wheels, she'd be a bike, right? Situations. But Carlton finished last year on what? 12 wins. That's what? 48 points off the top of my head, right? Percentage was 0.5 to the Dogs. Add the 2 wins. Where are we finishing? We're finishing 7th. A win behind the top 6 and a win ahead of 8. So do you know what I mean? Percentages are relevant if you put the games away you should win. Do you know what I mean? Like the percentage would have been irrelevant unless we got to 16. Do you know what I mean? But again, the percentage last year, did that sort the top 4? No. Did it sort the top 4 the year before? No, it didn't. It did 2020. It didn't 2019. It didn't 2018. It happened 2 times. Do you know what I mean? So what happens if we draw this week? Someone actually asked me this. I'm going to give someone a point. You can't answer if you watch my tweet, though, because it's a POM stat. Do you know the rules? Let's just say Richmond and Carlton finish 4th and 5th, right? 4th and 5th. Just say it's Carlton and Richmond. We level on, I don't know, let's say 64 points each, 62 points each. Do you know how they work out who's 4th?
No idea.
Have some guesses in the comments. It's unbelievable, and it is 100% true as well. So, do you know what I mean? I agree with you, Rowan. I've never heard anyone say I'd like to thank the 0.5 percentage points for this. I'll tell you. Okay, so what it is they have a system. So if it's Carlton and Richmond, they go back to the games they play in that home away season between the 2 tied parties. So the first thing is exactly head to head, Richard. Well done. Right? They do it 4 points. So if you win 72-64 and the flip game was 80-64, right? And it's 1 each, they then go to percentage of them games. So the 80 side would win. But let's just say it's this. Only it's a draw. It is literally the operations manager. So that would be Lloydie and whoever Tigers is it still Gale? They would be invited to AFL House. It would be live streamed on TV. They toss a coin. They draw lots, and the lot separator in the AFL is a coin toss. That's the preferred method.
That is not true.
What? Right,
Really?
Okay. On my children's lives.
No, I back you. I'm more saying just the shock.
Can you imagine that? Imagine doing a watch along. Imagine Blue Abroad coin toss watch along with Pon.
Far out. Look, and you know what? It actually doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because I made the tweet during the week. Can the AFL go 1 week without a controversial, something grey, controversial, whatever? I mean, it was the bump, then it was the sling tackle, then it was the lights going out, then it was the free kick, not free kick. What are the rules? We don't know the rules. Who knows the rules in the Fremantle North game? Like, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me that the AFL did something so stupid because they can't even get their own fucking game in order.
Mate, can you imagine the tension of a coin toss? Like, I actually hope it happens.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it'd be wild. It'd be wild.
You know what I mean? Tell you what, wait, look, here, I'll read it out to you. So these are the rules. So this is the official website. Here, look, I will highlight it and post it so we can see it. It's just so everyone knows Palm hasn't made some kind of fucking weird law. So this is it. This is in the AFL charter. This is 17.2, right? So these are the official rules, right? Here we are. Let's see if I can load this up on screen because this blagged my head. Right? Because I think people need to know that this is our official game. Can you imagine? Like, I actually hope it happens. Here you are, ready? These are the official rules. Look, they are. Just to prove. So you can see there, number 3, where 2 or more clubs still remain tied, the position of clubs shall be adjusted by a lot conducted and drawn by the general manager so that the draw ahead of other clubs shall be placed ahead. So literally, honestly, shit. Can you imagine? Like, I actually hope it happens because I think that I think of everything as if it's content. I just think the content would be the sex. Can you imagine doing a watch along for a coin toss?
Yeah, I'd just be like, wild. Anyway,
Sean, last thing on Carlton, this, right? we're a 16-win side or get the fuck out. Like, our percentage could be 72. 16 wins. Eat my ass.
Yeah, all right. Definitely.
That's what I'm about. But let's get on to the AFL news, or as I'm going to call it, Fazz Pies.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I'll pop off when I...
Can I just say, if Nick Austin's watching, if it's, where is it? Here, sorry. Rock, Paper, Scissors by Clarence. I can actually get inside people's heads if I know them for long enough and watch a couple of games. I reckon I could kick ass. I'd do it. But AFL, the AFL news, I suppose we have to talk about it. Your Fazz Pies, they look pretty tasty, don't they? Fazz Pies is back. I've seen it on Twitter.
They're back. Fazz Pies. Oh, my goodness. I mean, yeah, look, I just want to, on the record, so yes, I am a Carlton supporter. Everyone knows I'm a Carlton supporter. But one thing I do when I make observations and have opinions, I don't get blinded by my hatred for. I don't use hatred to blind my judgment. I fucking hate that football club. Right? I hate that football club. I hate everything about them. I hate the people. I hate the players. I hate everything. Everything. I hate them. But fuck, they are good to watch. They are, I'm telling you now, they are the best team to watch at the moment. I hate them, but fuck, they're good to watch.
Can I just say, Fazz made a tweet about it, right? And
mate.
And I quickly jumped in with @Gavin saying Fazz Pies are back because it just happened. I read it just after the over the top handball from Pendlebury that Nick Dacos ran onto and kicked a goal. Yeah. And I remember turning and going, fuck me, that's probably one of the best goals I've ever seen. I was like, how good's that? And then I went on Twitter thinking, surely someone's talking about it. It's good to watch. And I just saw yours and I was like, oh, brilliant. I can throw Fazz under the bus here. Do you know what I mean? With a hashtag Fag Pies and go back to it. So the Fazz Pies, they are well and truly back. But I've got to admit, I'll stand by it.
As you see it. Yeah.
You know what? I will agree. I am a firm believer, and this comes from my time as a Rangers fan. Whenever Rangers aren't winning, Celtic are. So I have and I hate Celtic. Hate. I can't describe the hatred. Like, one of my best mates, their brother died of cancer, and I refused to wear the green and white. And I said I'd double the donation. So I actually cost myself £2,000 because I refused to do a golf day wearing it. I was like, fuck that. I ain't doing it. Got better things to do. Can't do it, even though it's for your brother. Fuck that. I ain't doing it. But
fair.
I always enjoy watching Celtic when we're doing bad because I want to learn what they're doing that we can steal. I'm like, right, why are they better than us? What I'm infatuated by that question. So when I look at Collingwood, I'm impressed because I'm like, okay, centre clearances look good. You've got the run and stun. You've added them layers. And then what I get turned on about is I'm like, our players can do this because we're naturally good in the contest. What they've got that we haven't got, I believe we can do. So it makes me excited to think one day we're going to be at a better situation. That's how I take it. I look at them and say, we can be better than this side.
Yeah, and just hopefully they, hopefully for all parties, hopefully they'll just peak too early. And I look at Collingwood and I think, I sit there and say, it could be one of the best. I've got to be careful how I say this because people will take it the wrong way. They've got one of the best brands of football I've almost ever seen. Like their brand is just so good to watch, right? And that's not short memory or recency bias. Like their brand is so good to watch. Compare that to Richmond, who won 3 flags. I mean, their brand was shit. Like they played shit football, and they won 3 flags. Collingwood play such good footy. I just hope that this is it. Like they can't get any better. Maybe this is them, which means if they can't get any better, that means everyone can catch up. That's just my hope. But geez, if they can get better, that's scary, scary, scary stuff.
Some of the things that Pies do well are some of the things that excite me that Carlton are doing. So they've brought in a new sports scientist, a new data analyst, which is something that Colin would have had for a long time because they've got the Courier there, who is like kind of a nerd when it comes to modern day sport. You know, when you watch Pies, I'm going to tell you this, 10 years time, every team plays like that because that is what all world sport is doing now. Richmond are archetype, Jose Mourinho style of football. Counter defense. If you can counter, let them come at you. They've got the ball. You hit them over the top. What happened then? Pep Guardiola said, okay, we can have the ball, but what we do is we destroy good defensive structure by passing it around these zones. The Antichrist of Jose. Then you've got Jurgen Klopp's Jenga press, that real heavy press that puts pressure on every pass from the goalkeeper back. That's what they're doing now, right? And what excites me is if you actually look at how Carlton play, we play very different to Collingwood, which is why I am of the belief that you are looking at the two biggest clubs in the land for the next decade, providing they keep their list together, because Carlton's is the metric to beat them. Look at where Carlton are doing it. And this is what annoys me about our Blues. No one gives us any respect that we're the top side at getting turnovers in our forward half, right? No one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about, Carlton are 14th for points scored in defensive zones. Top teams hurt you when you're vulnerable. And that's what Carlton are doing. It's been flipped. Modern day sport now isn't about counter-attack. It's about getting the ball back at the earliest opportunity, which, if you're any good, is in your forward 50. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. But I'm a man of my word. Credit to the Pies. I do think, and as Pommy says, my boy Gazza's back. It's great to see. And Peter, Andrew's done a great job at Celtic. And Paula saying don't say in front of Rod Stewart. You've got to admit, Celtic are absolutely brilliant. I've got to admit it. I fucking hate them, but they're a better football side than us at the moment because they play better football. And we can beat them, but we've got a bit of work to do. So, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah. I can't wait till we play them, though. I reckon it'll be a ripping game.
It'll be good. It'll be good. I think, like you said, the brand that we play, if you try and play Collingwood the way they play, they'll destroy you. So you've got to kind of, very similar to what we did to Richmond. We knew if we played into Richmond's hands, they'd beat us. So I feel like we're showing a bit of maturity in that regard. One thing I did want to touch on actually is you get to, 2 rounds in, you turn on every TV, every social media, whatever. People still buy the newspaper. I don't know. But gee whiz, there's some fucking shit that gets spoken after 2 games. Like, I mean, I look at it this way, and by complete unbiased, right? I say after 2 games, you've got some fraudulent teams already. And you've got some teams who you know they're not that bad. And I'll give an example of fraudulent teams already. The top 3, Sydney, St Kilda, and Essendon. Like Sydney at top with 232%, if you want to talk about percentage. That is the most fraudulent stat or team in the competition right now because they played Gold Coast and Hawthorn. In my opinion, probably the 2 worst teams. Essendon at 3rd, equally. I think it's impressive the change that they've made. And speaking to my Essendon mates, it's the first time for a long time they've actually got a game plan, which is really good to see for them. But again, Gold Coast and Hawthorn. I think St Kilda, they've had some good wins. But, are they the top 2 team? And so complete unbiased aside, and I actually made this point, the 2 teams I genuinely believe, using my metric of opposition plus performance, the 2 best teams after round 2, or most impressive teams, would say, have been Collingwood and Carlton. It's simple as that. You go opposition plus performance. No other team in no other team who's won 2 games or a game and a half can say they've had tough opposition plus they're putting good performance.
Mate, I was actually saying this the other day to one of my mates that I remember the media making little jokes going, Carlton a book in September, 2-0 start. And I don't really think. I mean, I'm a part of the Carlton community. I feel like I see a lot of the Carlton community, and a lot of you speak to me. I don't think anyone was being legit, like getting excited, thinking we were going to win a flag 2-0. I think we were excited, but I don't think anyone was actually like, this is the year we win a flag, right?
Yeah.
But I look at the media at the moment, and they're like, Essendon fans are like going mental, and they're like, oh, it's great to see. Isn't it great to see after, the drug issues, the James Hird issues? It's great that there's a bit. And I'm like, wait a minute. A year ago, you were slating us for daring to be happy. And Essendon now, been a bit sad for a minute. Hey, it's great. Ross is winning games. It's great. They've only won one flag in 150 years, but it's great. They're happy. And I'm like, hang about, like, Carlton were turgid. Like 2-0 was a dream.
I think there's going to be a lot of people throw the percentages at me and the statistics of teams that are 2-0. Someone said it to me. It must have been at work. Someone said to me, teams that are 2-0, 75 or 78% of the time they make finals at 2-0. And I said, yeah. And you're talking to a guy who supported a team who were 2-0 and didn't make the finals last year. So I'm telling you, it happens and it will happen. And all this the shit like that. It's great. It's good to be up and about. But yeah, like I said, the fraudulent nature of the teams. And you know what? You can only beat who you play. I'll put that on the table. You can only beat who you play. And I'm not calling Sydney frauds by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying is that sitting on top with a percentage of 200 and being like, look how good these guys are, that needs to be pulled back a bit. So yeah, no, like I said, all these stats as well. There's another one someone said to me, just in regards to, if you're 3-0, if you're 4-0, and every stat they said, I'm just kind of like, well, 2023 is going to be the year, I believe, that all these history and statistics garbage are going to be thrown out the window, because I still sit here right now, and if you go by the statistic, it means that the current top 8, only 2 teams are going to drop out of the current top 8. Well, that's garbage. Half the teams in the top 8 right now are probably going to drop out. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. The other one I really liked, I made this bit of a pat on the back for myself, made this tweet saying, just a friendly reminder that all the new coaches who were 2-0 last year, only one of them made finals. So sorry, North, St Kilda, Essendon, same thing happened last year. All the new coach members, Hawthorn were on top of the ladder after 2 games last year, I believe. So
you got to remember, there's only one round of footy in the history of the AFL that 99.8, and this is the history of the AFL as well. So in the history of the AFL, win that round and go on to win the flag, and that is the final round of the regular season. All the others, they're about 70, 85, 90%. But literally, that is the round. So you can get up and about if you win round 23, because that's where that's where the winner will come from. Do you know what I mean?
I'll also just, the one final thing I'll say on this, and I will be a bit gentle, which is very unlike me. Given what I've gone through and what we've all gone through, majority of the people here watching have gone through in our lives watching Carlton, I, hand on heart, maybe on Twitter I'll be a bit cheeky, but I will never put someone down for celebrating their team winning games of football. Never. Because I think back to last year of how I acted when Carlton winning, how excited I was. It was the best year for ever. So to my Essendon mates, Richie, Mitch, Aaron, I know you watch. I will never, ever put you guys down for celebrating the fact that you're winning games of football. All right. Because that is what it's all about. That's why we watch. But tell you what, if you don't win a final this year, I'll get stuck in. So,
mate, you know what pisses me off the most, though, is it's not when other fans tell you not to celebrate. It's when your own fans do. That one winds me up, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, hang about. You can't tell me off for being fucking happy, right? Do you know what I mean? Like,
how dare you for being happy?
like, honestly, doing this game a long time, the more abuse I get is when I'm happy than when I'm when I'm knocking a turd out of this club. No one will complain. But the minute I'll start to believe there's a little bit of pip in my step, that is when my own fans will be like, "Nah, come on, Pom. Go on. We've been here before." And I'm like, "Yeah, just let me enjoy it." I was here in 2018. Let me have fun.
Yeah, I think that's my mentality going into this season a bit. It's just like, you know what? Are we going to win the flag? Probably not. But you may as well enjoy it as you go. Like, what's the point of watching sport or following sport if you're not going to get up and about when your team wins? Like, what's the point? We haven't spent fucking the best part of 20 years down the bottom to when we win a game saying, it's not that big a deal. It's a big deal. Winning games of football is a massive deal.
Mate, I'm with you. Don't matter how you win and winners and just enjoy it. I agree. Right. I mean, I swore to myself 2018 when we saw 2 wins. I was like, I'm going to cherish every fucking win from now on.
Correct.
Cherish
exactly right.
Every time. Every time I'm cherishing a win because I remember just praying for a win. You know what I mean? Like now I feel privileged doing my previews and saying, this is how I want us to win. This is how, and actually being arrogant, almost saying, I don't just want to win. I want it controlled. Like, where before I was like, just fucking win. You know what I mean? Like, if that means 8 big guys in the forward line, if that means 8 smalls, don't care. Do you know what I mean? Don't care about game style. Like,
mate, there's so much negativity in the world and so much that brings us down. I speak about me. I hate my job. I hate going to work every day. My kids are at that age where they're just hard work. Anyone who has or have got kids, mine are 5 and 2, 5.5 and 2, and they're just hard work. My wife works night shifts. It's very there's so much negativity goes on in your life that, gee whiz, just if there's one, to anyone out there, if there's just one small thing that can perk you up, make you go to bed with a smile on your face, or get out of bed with a smile on your face, then fucking embrace it. Like, just enjoy it. So credit to the Essendon fans, credit to the North fans, Carlton fans, all of it. Like, this is what it's about. Because what's the point? What's the point of watching or playing sport if you're not going to celebrate when you win? Is that right, Pommy? Hey, what's the point?
Hey, mate, especially when you got a trophy there. But, I mean, let's go over to our little Pom and Fazz things of the week. Right. Fazz, hit me. What is on your mind this week?
What is on my mind? I touched on it earlier on. I'm just saying, the nature in which the AFL can't get through 1 week without having some form of controversy. And I'm talking in the last fortnight, there's been multiple forms. Like I said, and it can be minor or major, however you look at it. But the Cozzy Pickett bumps that bump, absolutely. How on earth did he think that was a good idea to do? The sling tackle from Broad, disgraceful. The lights going out in Brisbane. I mean, this is a professional $1 billion sport, or so they keep telling us. Amateur hour, not knowing the rules. Is it an hour? Is it half an hour? What are they doing? And Melbourne got to come out 5 minutes early. There was no communication between like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I know Gill's about to leave, but apparently they don't have a people in
replacement.
Replacement. And it's just like, then there's the boundary free kick, the North Fremantle one. Now, we find out eventually, they got it right, but no one knew what the rules were. Everyone's on social media. It should have been a free kick. Shouldn't have been a free kick. Why can't the umpire do that? Why didn't you do this? Like, the amount of grey areas the AFL just keep having to address week after week. It's just become tiresome. Another racism issue with Jamara. Can they get through 1 week without some form of controversy? Just kills me.
You touched on what was mine, so we can link them. But mine is like, and I agree, for $1 billion organization, some of the things that happened blag my head. Like, there was one today, the whole AFL's chosen not to fine TDK, instead send a strongly worded letter to all 18 football clubs about contact below the knees and rucks. And I look at it and I think, okay, TDK, I'm going to be bold here and Carlton fans can come at me. I don't give a shit. I'd give him a week. If that is the rule, give him a week, because in my opinion, it was just negligent. He's never done it before. I don't think he meant it. I think it was just inexperience. It just happened. But if you're a rule-setting organisation, back it up. But then I asked this question. Last year, Darcy did it to Grundy and TDK. There wasn't a fine. It wasn't cited. Right? Why? He also did it to Draper, didn't he, as well?
Yeah. And I think that's the point, what you're saying. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, Carlton fans. You know, we were screaming and you know, pitchforks down at AFL House because Shaun Darcy broke, I think it was Pitnet, didn't he? I can't remember, but he with his knee. And TDK doesn't, it's all right. No. It looked shit. It looked shit, to be honest. I didn't like it at all.
To me, it was negligent. Like Chill says, Mason Cox. For me, if the AFL is serious, right, that's not new. That Darcy's done it from juniors as well. And he's not the first ruckman to do it. And Darcy is quite physical. You know what? I'm going to hold my hand up. I applaud Darcy for doing it, because if you're not going to be disciplined for it, fucking keep doing it. But I'd love to know how the AFL can suddenly say, TDK just putting his leg up, catching the guy on the midriff, that does no fucking damage, is now warranting a warning for 18 clubs, as opposed to a guy missed the fucking season from it, and then Draper missed a good part of the season from it. Grundy went off and subbed that game from it. How doesn't an actual injury do it? And then it leads me on to the AFL, right? Which is, right, and this is a big thing. They want to outlaw any head concussions. I appreciate it. But looking over the last 2 weeks, if you can honestly tell me Pickett leaving the ground and doing what looked like something out of a Mankind versus The Rock 1999 No Way Out finishing maneuver is 2 weeks. And then Nathan Broad losing control, but doing a football action. You got to remember, he tackled him before he was an idiot, right? He was in control of that situation. He just lost his temper. He just lost his cool. But that could have been quite easy, a stand-up tackle, and he didn't have to fling him, right? How that is more than a guy without the ball, not making a tackle, just launching to try and take someone's head off. In my opinion, it should be flipped. Like, Pickett should have weeks, because I'll tell you what, I reckon you're going to get less damage from what Broad did versus if everyone keeps leaving and trying to shoulder you in the chin. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm no neurosurgeon, but I'd say how many people get concussed from a tackle versus how many people would get concussed flying a clothesline in someone at 90 miles an hour. He was horizontal, bro.
Yeah, that I can't get over. That Pickett one was... I had to watch it 3 times before I actually believed what I saw. Like, it was diabolical. Like, I couldn't believe that he only got 2 weeks. And then McAdam got 3, and then Broad got 4. I'm like, hang on a minute. You're going to tell me that Broad's tackle was twice as bad as Pickett's? It's the other way around. It's the other way around. I made a comment. I said, David King posted on Twitter saying, like, how do we stop the players doing it? And I just made a comment, we'll suspend the first one for 6 weeks and no one will do it again. Do you know what I mean?
You see, I'm with you, and this is why I hate to use TDK as an example, right? I hate to use TDK as an example, but I'm a firm believer, if the AFL are going to make a rule, don't give someone the benefit of the doubt. Just say, right, okay, sorry, lads, we want you. And Chris saying we should outlaw the ruck contest if that's going to become a thing. I disagree, right? Because you look at the center contest in basketball. They have a strict policy on below the waist contact. And the reason it is because from a sports science point of view, you should never make contact with the lower half. because you're meant to be going upwards. They appreciate contact in the torso to torso. So if you're doing it correctly and you're in charge of your job, you shouldn't be leading with your legs or looking to make contact. It's called an unfair advantage in basketball. Why can't we do that? And just go to the... If you went to the ruckman now, I guarantee, because watch Grundy versus Gorn, they never do it. When they used to play against each other, it was a fair battle of two big boys who weren't trying to cheat or hurt. You start saying, right, below the knees, it could potentially end a guy's career. Mandatory first offence is 6 weeks. You watch next week, every bastard have a fair ruck contest.
I think we give these players too much leeway and not enough credit for... We're talking about elite level sportsmen who can make decisions like that. As like, we're giving to... Tom De Koning knew exactly what he was doing, and I will not have anyone tell me otherwise, right? And with what Beachy was saying before about then we get rid of ruck contest, that's not a ruck contest. That's someone trying to hurt the opposition. And I don't like it. I thought it looked shit. If it had been flipped the other way around, I can guarantee you now you'd all be on here saying suspend Stanley, suspend Stanley, suspend. It looked horrible. And like you said, just we're giving these players way, way, way too much leeway and not enough credit for how smart they actually are. They're smart people, right? They've played this game their whole lives and they're coached by even smarter people. They know what they're doing. You
watch Darcy's one, he looks at the knee. That's what annoyed me about that. And you look at the stats, Pitternet was baffing him, right? So you can see what went through Darcy's mind. I don't think he meant to injure him. I think he meant to hurt him enough, right, to make him think twice so he could gain the advantage. My big thing, right, about it, though, is this, that I guarantee you what happens this week, someone does it, nothing fucking happens, right? And you'll get Lloydie and all these idiots going, it's part of the ruck contest. In my day, we used to do shoeies at the back of the car park after the game together. And you'd be like, okay, great, cool. So we've created the rule, but then we're just going to be like, no, it's football. And Shaun hits it, right? Liability versus this assessment process. It should just be black and white. Like the AFL should have come out today and said, right, TDK, it was negligent. You see, I don't think he did it in any malice. I think at the time, Stanley was getting on top of him and he was doing everything he could to keep him away from the ball. And I think it was instinct. He raised his leg a bit too high, right?
Correct.
But what they want to do is if they just said, right, next week, 4 weeks. Doesn't matter if it's an accident. You watch suddenly, I agree with Fazz, they're clever people. You watch them next week. I bet no bastard would do it. If the AFL said 4 weeks, under the waist contact in a ruck contest, 4 weeks, you watch every ruckman do it perfectly straight away. Because what would happen in training? The coach would be saying, I ain't losing you for 4 weeks. You keep your fucking legs down.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Exactly right there. We don't give them enough credit for how smart they actually are. And yes, Tom De Koning, he was trying something different because Stanley was getting on top. And so he did do it
Mate. Anyway. And that's my annoyance with the AFL. Just black and white the fucking rules. It would be so much easier if you said, during a tackle, head knock, 4 weeks, bump, head knock, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Just blanket it. No fucking review, no nothing. Once the footage has been looked, they are the guidelines. And if someone goes, and Shaun's right, if you accidentally do it, I got a fine the other day for parking in a taxi place. My wheel was there while I was waiting to pick someone up, and I got a fine, right? They don't care that I didn't quite see where the line was. Like, they're just going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Williams, pay the $150, you dickhead, right? Like, just do that. Just literally black and white it. And then, you know what? Then you can say this, and I said this to Brisbane fans about the Archie. If the rule was black and white, you could turn to me and go, Cripps nearly killed Archie. But the problem is, I can say to you, didn't really mean to do it. He's got previous. He's never done it before. He's a good, clean player. They create the excuse where if the rule was bump, head knock, leave the ground 6 weeks.
See you later. Yeah.
I couldn't say, oh, but Cripps didn't mean it. Oh, Cripps is a nice guy. Oh, Cripps has got to win a brownlow for the club. They'd be like, oh, fuck, mate. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
And that's the same with soccer. Soccer, it's black and white. Do you know what I mean? We can't debate and go, oh, but, you know, granted, Xhaka's a nice guy. He donated some money to Swiss orphanage the other week. Oh, okay, we'll rescind the red card. It's just red card, 2-game ban.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's wild. But I think Gavin's hit the nail on the head as well. This is one thing I'm going to start getting a bit bigger on here. The bounce, get rid of it. It serves no purpose anymore. I'm so over it. Takes time off the clock when they stuff it up. It's creating this uncertainty of where it's going, which causes the players to do these types of things. Would anyone even notice if they didn't do it? I can tell you right now, it's going to be raining in Sydney on Saturday. They aren't going to bounce the ball once. Are you going to notice? Of course you're not. Get rid of it. It's shit.
You know me, I'm an anti-traditionalist and I hate to upset people, but for me, I want to see the fairest contest between two sets of 18 men. And if you can toss it up in the middle, so it's mano or mano or woman versus woman in the AFLW, I am all for it. I want to see the cleanest, fairest battle. And I think we have a duty to do it. And I agree. I think a lot of them, you see it with TDK and Stanley. Some of them, it's nearly coming out of the circle and the umpire says play on. So you're already got your foot. You can see one of the ruckmen stretching to get it. So his foot is in an awkward position. He can't go straight up. For me, it's safer. It makes more sense. Come on,
and if the reports are true from what I've heard and read, that there are umpires who can't make it to the top level because they can't bounce it, it's a no-brainer. Get rid of it. Just throw it up. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we have overstayed our welcome as always, but thank you very much for joining us. I think next week we play Friday, don't we? So that'll be a Thursday show as well. So we'll be back to Thursday and let's count and play Thursday for those asking in the comments. As always, thank you very much, Fazz, for joining me. And
my pleasure.
Chat, we love you. See you next week.
Go the Blues.
Go Blues. And the Fazz Pies.